Live from Denver 7, this is 7 News.
Just about 10 minutes before 8 o'clock, and as summer winds down, perhaps you haven't thought about that fall or winter landscaping, but believe it or not, there are a lot of plants that can bring some pizzazz to your yard, even in the dead of winter. And joining us this morning is Jocelyn Chilvers with Associated Landscape Contractors of Colorado to talk a little bit about this. Thanks so much for coming in, Jocelyn.
You bet. My pleasure.
All right, now when we're talking about fall or winter landscaping, what's the approach? Where do you begin?
Well, oftentimes, we focus on flowers, but as the seasons wind down, we can look at foliage in the fall and winter as well. So we have a shot here, I think, coming up that shows kind of just a basic shrub right there in the middle that's a background plant at this time of year, and it's Oregon grape holly. Okay. But in the winter time, if you take a look at this photo, you can see that it becomes the dominant feature of this garden.
And it's an evergreen, it looks like, so that continues to create color in your yard despite the grass going brown and the trees losing their leaves.
Absolutely. And that's what we call a broadleaf evergreen, meaning it doesn't have needles. It has, as you can see, broad leaves, and they stay green throughout the winter. This plant also turns a darker sort of bronzy red color as it gets colder and colder. So it adds color to the landscape, but it's important to get those planted soon. Those would be the first thing to look for at the nursery and get in no later than the end of September so that they can get a root system established and kind of settle into their new home in your garden.
And again, if you're going to the nursery and you're saying, I need some plants for winter or fall, what do you want to ask for specifically if maybe you want that type of plant?
Broadleaf evergreen, you want to get them in quickly, and you also need to plan on some winter watering and the application of what we call an anti-desiccant, so they don't dry out too quickly in the winter.
Anti-desiccant,
correct.
That's a good key. We just saw in that last photo a lot of different colors between the grasses and the bushes, and let's talk more about adding color. You talked about flowers in the summertime, so a lot of people are a little bit lost when it comes to adding color in the fall or winter.
Well, fall color is very transitory, and we look to the foliage primarily. And as you can see from this photo, there's everything from reds to yellows to blues to even deep greens. So looking at the color of your home is the first key, and finding something that complements rather than clashes with that.
So if you have a red brick, what do you want to go for, do you think?
Probably yellows, oranges like that, and maybe avoid the pinks or the pinkier reds. That would be primary. What the photo we just saw was very traditional. This is a more contemporary garden, very natural looking. All of these plants are quite drought tolerant and are a little more representative of our native landscape with lots of grasses and native shrubs. As you can see, the grasses really are beautiful in the wintertime as well. They pick up the moisture, sort of beads onto the inflorescences of the grasses, and they can add color as well.
Add some texture, too, to your yard.
Absolutely, absolutely. We also have berries that come into play in the wintertime.
What kind of plants are the berry plants?
That is a type of sumac.
Sumac,
And in the summer, it's sort of a backdrop plant, but it has lovely fall color and then these big clusters of red berries. So not only are you getting the color and the texture, but berries also bring in birds. So you get movement, you get sound, you get a little more activity in the garden just by virtue of having plants for wildlife, and that extends your enjoyment of the garden.
Yeah, you bring life to your home despite it being the dead of winter that we often say. Well, thank you, Jocelyn, for coming in and talking about these different plants. We appreciate it. Always get to get some ideas, especially for people who don't have the green thumbs like me. I appreciate it. For more information, just log on to thedenverchannel.com, click on the big red TV button, and follow the links to Associated Contractors of Colorado.